video blog in Chicago, heading towards Whole Foods. This might be the only Whole Foods in the country that is across the street from a nightclub and a adult entertainment bar. So it's kind of a different type of mixture, and this is off the main street of North Avenue, and it's on Weed and Sheffield, and right at the intersection, and so it makes it very unique. And so I think the activity, if you're raising kids around here, what is the protocol? That they moved in a different direction, right? So again, there's Chicago's best improv comedy club. So, and this sits off of two malls right here that is a little different, and it's a side street, and I'll show you the mall. There's REM and other things that are commercial properties here integrated into excuse the coughing, the PetSmart and Sky Zone. And there's iFly Chicago right down the street at where that light is at that car. So I don't know how this Sky Zone integrates with iFly Chicago. I don't know what the Sky Zone is. So again, it says play rules, membership, and birthday parties in that. But I don't know what this is. So I don't know what the Sky Zone is compared to iFly Chicago, which I know it is. It replicates, you free falling after you parachute. Not when the parachute opens, because when the parachute opens, you go vertical to the ground, but before the parachute opens, you're horizontal. So again, staying horizontal would put less weight on the parachute and slow you down. And there's a rock gym, but I'll show you why maybe parachutes should keep you horizontal, and then the last few hundred feet turn you vertical. You just pull a little cord, and that cord releases an anchor, and your feet swing under you for preparing to landing. But here's the other mall. Now this is on a main street. This is Halsted. And can I go in? And so right next to this, you get New City, which used to be the YMCA. But why didn't they just keep the YMCA here and integrate the YMCA? Because I'll show you on the backside, on the other side of the Dominick's, which you can't see here, but going through this parking lot, you can enter the Dominick's, and through the New City entrance here, you can't get to the Dominick's. Not Dominick's, Mariano's. You can't get through the Mariano's So they didn't integrate the Mariano's property. And then you got Dick's Sporting Goods, which works perfectly with the YMCA. And they could have, have deals selling them sporting goods equipment to the YMCA because they had hockey leagues and basketball leagues and I think softball leagues and that. But let's show you what I'm talking about. And the YMCA should have stayed. They should have integrated the YMCA. I was working with that YMCA actually in 2002 forward. I was actually working with that YMCA. So here's on Eastman, like Eastman Kodak. It was Eastman Kodak. But again, they were two camera companies that combined. And they would have been perfect if they transitioned into web cameras, and they could have transitioned into phone cameras. Truly, if you have a camera company like Fuji, it does film in that, but it can go into digital film, and it can get into digital video, and then do different types. And you could have a quick printing with a small film, roll-up film that inserts in the USB that attaches to the bottom of the phone that you take a picture and it prints off the image right away. Now, it would be a little bit longer down, maybe 6 inches, and then it would have a little bit of thickness to it, but you can use it also as a handle in that and position it, and you press the button on that because it integrates through the USB and into an app, and the app opens up in the camera system of the phone. So this is Noble right here, Academy, and there's a big park over here. And so across the street right here could be a new YMCA. This neighborhood would benefit from a Young Man's Christian Association, which the YWCA is the Young Women's Christian Association. But they have this land, and they could have integrated a YMCA here. And then you have up over here, you have Target. So, talking planned communities, right? And so over here, we're going to go down this street, Larrabee, and we're going to take this southbound, and this heads towards the old Montgomery wards and that, which I'll show you. But you have Target right here. Now, there's a lot of land around the Target, and if you want it in back of the Target, you could put the YMCA there on Division. But it would benefit this whole area because it does all kinds of sports leagues. It had swimming leagues, and you could take swimming classes. It actually has a gym in the YMCA. The Irving Park one I used to go to, they redid their gym, and they were getting big on the gym membership. And maybe you integrate that with Planet Fitness, and they do a deal with them to take over the gym management and use Planet Fitness's scale to bring the equipment. And so they become a property manager for gyms because you have your own, but also you have other ones that can be franchised, and you become a property manager. They, oversee the franchise owner. So they have their own corporate stores, franchises, and then they have other organizations. They manage another group that manages gyms for the YMCA, the YWCA, truly. And they bring them economies of scale. I posed this to Bally's a long time ago, because Bally's was originally from Chicago. And so now we're getting the new Bally's Casino. And I wonder, Bally's is still available on the East Coast. Is the new Bally's Casino opening up a elaborate spa and exercise gym, and they can use their old Bally's. They have equipment, which is Life Fitness and many other things that can go into the new Bally's Casino. So, again, which is up here. Yeah. Mini bikes. I used to ride Matt Hammond's go-kart. It was cool. But, again, here is these two buildings. One was an office building. This one right here was a storage house. The vertical building, horizontal building, was the storage house. And because it didn't have that many floors, because it was carrying a lot of, heavy goods. And the vertical over here, so you have this was Montgomery Ward storage, and they put it right next to their corporate office. So if you had to look at inventory or anything, or deal with shipping, it was right across the street. You could leave the offices and go right into your storage facility. So it was created that way for efficiency. And Montgomery Ward's was Chicago's very own as well. So it wasn't just Sears. We had numerous retailers that were our own, unlike these pieces of shit tailgaters, who I think they should just eliminate. So again, I don't know why they put up with it. They kicked me out of Ubering and Lyfting, and I didn't do anything wrong. I reported guys threatened my life continuously, and then he wanted to beat me up, and I reported it, and they fired me. But these motherfuckers go around tailgating me and everything else, and I don't get it. Why can't I Uber and Lyft and make money? It's a, easy job driving around. And, I guess the Uber driver or whatever, he was lock and loaded. He was a rideshare driver yesterday who said he was packing and, he was going to kick my ass and that, he has a gun and he's going to shoot me. Wow, that's good for rideshare. I guess they can get away with that. And, throwing up and in my vehicle. They never paid me. I had to get my vehicle cleaned. Uber and Lyft never paid me. Multiple times people threw up in my vehicle. I had to get it cleaned or clean it myself. So again, they didn't reimburse me. So it's amazing on how these people get away with all this shit, and I'm forced into poverty and isolation. And somebody owns all these structures. So here's the new Bally's Casino, going all the way up, and you can't really see it too well in this because of the glare. But it doesn't make any sense. And then if you have people, like I'm looking at a male and female black, now you've been to mirrors multiple times. Does it reflect on you well? If you're people, because I sure wouldn't be voting for a fucking mayor that can't rein in a society. Isn't that what they did with white supremacist groups and that? The FBI went after them ruthlessly and broke them. So you think Mayor Johnson would be working with a gang task force and that, and going fucking scorched earth on any fucking piece of shit black person? Because that shores up his mayorship. Because that directly reflects on him. He's black. And so if I was him, I'd be going scorched earth. And I'd be saying, hey, brother, you're not going to ruin my fucking gig. I'm going to destroy you, motherfucker. Because wouldn't he be wanting to sure up his re-election? And one way is to show your people are doing the righteous thing. How do you think Mayor Washington got voted in, where there was a much larger white presence in Chicago and not that much Hispanic when he got voted in? Well, one thing was that white people voted him in because he was going to take care of the black issues. Just like they voted in, I said, the mayor of London, the people they voted in a Muslim because he was going to go fucking scorched earth on Muslim fucking people. And so they had problems with Muslims in London. And so they figure they bring one of their own in, make them mayor. They still have the city council to check them. But they brought him in to go fucking scorched earth on his people. Solving the fucking problem. So that's why you bring them in. It's a bull fucking elephant that you inject and you say, okay, you want the role? We have problems with your people. Clean up the fucking problems. They can't argue hate crime. They can't argue racism. That's why you bring them in and you say, go the fucking scorched earth and we'll give you all the tools and light them the fuck up. Because that's how they get elected. And I watch, they're like, oh, I'm going to solve this. It's the same in the white community or the Asian community or the Hispanic community. People put in people that are going to solve the fucking problem for the greater community. And so they insert the fucking bull elephant so they'll go the fucking town and they don't have to worry about the hate crimes and the racism or anything else because likewise, and it's not a religious thing either because he's Muslim in London. So they put him in office so he can go up and they can't say shit to terrorists and that. No. So they're like, you're running on a platform where you're going to light these motherfuckers up. And so I would. That's how Jane Byrne and others got elected, like the snow thing. She solved the snowplow problem. Michael Blandick lost. Came up with a solution. Didn't have a problem with the snowplows. Jesse White, he came in. What was the biggest problem at the DMV people complained about? The wait times. How long it was to wait. And what did he do? He solved the problem. I went in the DMV and it was snap, snap under him. And since he solved the problem with the wait times, which was the critical problem, people continuously re-elected him because he kept the problem solved. The wait times never went up. People could get their shit really quick, and he kept on innovating and making sure the problem stayed away. That was his ticket to stay in office. If you take me away, the problem comes back. If you keep me in office, the problem stays away. So they get elected by solving problems. And so they have these long-term things. Even with Daley, with his things, he did graffiti and everything else, solving problems still. And people kept on re-electing him because he was solving certain issues. And so people get put in that, because they can solve the fucking problems and make for a brighter tomorrow. So that's what people in London expected from the Muslim mayor. He was going to go scorched earth on Muslim people, solving their problems with all the Muslim terrorism. But he knows it. That's exactly why he was fucking elected. And he's running on, I can solve your problems. So, again, that's how you get in office. Truly. And you stay in office, also, you can get in office by telling them, I'll make sure there's no economic downturns. I can stabilize the economics, make sure you don't get a 201k. Remember, 401ks became 201ks in the 2008-9 crisis. People lost more than 50% of their money. That's why they said 201ks represented 50% loss. No more 401ks. They called it 201ks. Because people lost 50% of their assets. So if you can assure people that it's going to be good times now and good times going forward, well, you get the business leaders and you get the public. So again, this is how you do things. Mayor Daley started towing police cars. And you know, the public was pissed off at them. Fucking illegally parking here, illegally parking there, illegally running lights. And so he stuck it to them. He didn't care about the police and their vote. He fucking towed their cars with city tow trucks and put it in the pound. And here's a police officer going up to the pound saying, I need to get my patrol car out of the pound. And people were applauding him. Thank you, these fucking assholes that think they're above the law. Because all these people get boots and get towed for illegal parking. Well, they were happy when the police got it stuck to them. And he didn't care. He didn't need their fucking vote. So, in a way, it was nice because he had such broad-based coalition that he could stick it to anyone. Truly, that's one thing that was good about his situation. He didn't fucking care what group you were. He could stick it to you because losing one group, he wins all the others. It's diversification. So he could whack-a-mole any group. So he didn't need the police unions. You're doing something, fuck you, whack 'em. So I watched. That's actually true power. Where you don't need any group. You can whack any group if they do wrong. So you don't need the fucking blacks, you can whack them. You don't need the whites, you can whack them. You don't need the Hispanics, you can whack them. You can whack the Asians. You don't need them. So you fucking whack them when they step out of line. So that's what having a broad-based consensus does for you. Because the people know that even within their group that you're doing good by me. Because I had black people and all that fucking crime by black people. Stick it to those fucking pieces of shit. So you get people within that base that love you. So whack-a-mole is the way it should go. You don't pander. You get a broad-based coalition that gives you power to anyone that steps out of line. You destroy them. That keeps the good times running for them all. That's what a good leader does. Makes things better today and better tomorrow by never pandering and willing to wipe out the tow truck drivers if need be. You don't cater to anyone. This way there's no misplaced capital. Because what happens, you get patronage then and inefficiency, and then returns go down. So you don't cater to any industry. That way you keep all industries good. That is how you're supposed to govern. So if the Indians step out of the line, you whack the fucking Indians. So again, you don't give a shit. I had to put firefighters in jail. I wanted to put police in jail. The only reason I had a problem is because the police wouldn't put the police in jail. I should have called internal affairs. Oh, I tried to lock up cops. I locked up firefighters. So I didn't really care where you came from. And I fought to lock them the fuck up. So, if you're righteous, you don't give a shit. They say colorblind. Okay, that is fucking colorblind. Because you understand all the colors. And any of the colors step out of line, you fucking whack them. But that's true colorblind. Sometimes it cuts for you, sometimes it cuts against you. That's why God laughs and calls you a fucking fool. Because he's trying to keep you in line. And you resent and protest against. This is why he sits back and watches with me. And if you protest against, you burn in fucking hell. You're the piece of shit. And he knows who you are. You just marked yourself as the beast. 666. That goes with Revelations. Do you know that? So, Revelations is all about finding the wicked. It's a great cleansing. And you're marked as the beast. So, it stays with you permanently. You're destined for damnation. I wouldn't want to be you. So I like the rickshaws. I guess they replaced the horse carriages. Okay. So again, they replaced them, but you know, we have forest preserves and that you can still have horse-drawn carriages through the forest preserves. I took a sleigh ride for Christmas on a farm, and it was a horse-drawn carriage. So it was on, you know, they're on grass and that, and they go across the farm during the winter. And we did s'mores and that. I took Jen to it, and it was from First Presbyterian in Deerfield with the youth ministry. And we made s'mores and that, and we went on hay rides, which they call sleigh rides, during Christmas time. And me and Jen went on them and hung out with the youth group. I used to bring Jen into my youth groups. One time she went to Bali And I had her come in and show pictures to my youth group. And she explained them, and she did a great job of showing the pictures she took and explaining each of the significance of the different sites and what she experienced from the people and everything else. And she did the presentation to my youth group. So she helped me do youth ministry. Informally, but formally. And so we did youth ministry together. So again, I used to have youth ministers as clients too. And so one of the big things that's missing in the Hispanic community and the Black community is a robust youth ministry. So
You want to get shot? Fucking got a 9mm. This shit from fucking police academy. Fuckers. You think I don't have a gun? I'm CPD. Always got a fucking gun, you fucking idiots.
I have no idea what's going on. But again, one of the biggest fall-offs in the Black and Hispanic community, and I've been in Hispanic churches in that, no fucking robust youth ministry. One of the things that kept kids out in white and Asian communities, truly white, they had very both in white and Asian, in Asian communities even much more, was even much more than any, and this is why you only have 2,000 Asians in prison out of 20 million people. They have much more a robust youth ministry. It's incredibly robust in the Asian community. Jen was in youth ministers. When we first started dating in 2002, I met her youth group leader. And she was a beautiful, tall, and she was taller than Jen. She was 6 foot, beautiful lady. Truly, she was incredibly attractive. But I met her and hung out with her, and she was a youth minister. And then InterVarsity, a white girl who was actually head of InterVarsity, she was friends with Jen, which I read InterVarsity. I didn't know Jen knew about InterVarsity. It's a newspaper. And she introduced me to the head of InterVarsity News. So she was well tapped in, and she went to the different mega churches with me around the country. When we traveled, we went to one of the largest churches on the East Coast. It was in Maryland, a mega church. So we went to these independent mega churches. And she had different friends at all these different mega churches. They were her friends, not my friends. So, again, this is one of the reasons we have this problem, because there's truly, in Asian, it's very robust, the youth groups, and white communities would be better if it was more robust. Truly. And Black and Hispanic communities, they need to establish it. And I don't know what's going on, and I'm heading towards Chinatown. And this is where we had every year the Chinatown Chamber of Commerce, Chinatown Chamber of Commerce we had there. And then I went to the annual function for CASL, the Chinese American Service League. But again, they needed a robust youth ministry. The Korean youth ministry was incredibly robust in comparison to that of the Indian or Chinese. It was incredibly, not the Vietnamese and others, the most robust youth ministry was the Koreans. It was incredibly, every Korean kid was in youth ministry. So it was very vertically integrated into their, even if their parents didn't go to church, all the kids that were Korean went to youth ministry. So again, they did a better job at youth ministry. Why do you think I showed in economic statistics Koreans end up number one? That Chinese and Indian are bigger in groups, but if you do it by percentage, Koreans are number one at the top of their children achieving the most, because they have incredible youth ministries. And one of the problem in the Muslim world is they don't have youth ministries. I mean, formal Muslim churches that are vetted, and they need to vet their people and have robust youth ministries. That's what's the problem in Brazil with all those kids. They can go into youth ministries, and from that they can work with orphanages, but orphanages should have all their kids in youth ministry. And through this, it creates a thing of vetting, and it sets ground rules. If they're teaching, they need to teach Lamentations and many other essence of right and wrong. So you got Proverbs and Psalms and Lamentations. And so you have to teach these things and embed it into them so they have this moral character that's ingrained into them. So just because they can, they won't. And the funny thing is, I would have been better off if I could have stayed in youth ministry. I got myself involved in youth ministry at 6 years old. But again, it was taken away from me. Then I tried to get re-involved, and again, constantly pulled out from under. I was never allowed to have consistency. One thing in the last 10 years is Chicago seems to consistently torture me. That's like a daily thing. But hold it, all those years and decades I worked in homeless shelters and that, and I've never had an incident in a homeless shelter. Do you know that? I work with homeless people from coast to coast and never had an incident. So, I don't know, and those are decades and decades of working with them, and I didn't have any incidents. But some reason, I'm here and I drive around, and these are supposed to be good neighborhoods, and I have incidents. That doesn't make any sense to me. So again, youth ministry creates all kinds of outlooks, activities, foundational building. Truly. So again, when you don't have a good foundation, things rot. So again, like Chinatown, they really do need. Castle has Chinese American Service League. They have a nursery and a daycare service. But do you know daycares can intertwine with youth ministry? Truly. You can have a daycare that's a youth ministry. And so you can ingrain it and play Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous. And that's Brother John. It's a Christian song. So again, you wouldn't have this because they don't have the foundational, the moral and ethical foundation I'm talking about. But if you intertwine a deep moral and ethical foundation, then things tend to work out better. So how many people are you willing to throw under the bus? That's why George Bush did his thing focusing on the church, but that got taken away because of 9/11. And his administration was all about the war on terror, which was very expensive. I mean, it spent a fortune in all these countries, from Afghanistan to Syria to Iraq to many other countries around the world. He was fighting it globally, and it caused an incredible drain on domestic issues. So they say George Bush was bad. He wasn't bad. He got shackled early on, and his whole administration for literally 8 years was basically redirected. So he was undercut. That's what I'm talking about. If he knew the intel and it was handed off properly, but Clinton didn't hand him the intel properly. And so, again, George Bush, he didn't get the fair handoff. And, you know, this is what the U.S. attorney, and I have problems